Smilodon has just made a kill. It has spent 20 minutes bringing down a young horse on open ground. It is exhausted. It starts to feed. Then it stops. Something is coming across the grassland. Not fast in the way a cheetah is fast. Fast in the way something enormous is fast when it decides to move. 11 feet tall on its hind legs. 1.5 tons of weight on legs longer than any bear alive today. The Smilodon does not fight. It does not hesitate. It leaves. And the short-faced bear walks up to the kill, alone, and begins to eat. It did not hunt today. It never needed to. This is the story of Arctodus Simus, the animal that ruled North America for over 1 million years without ever having to try very hard. And what finally ended it. Part 1, where bears came from and why Arctodus was different. To understand how strange the short-faced bear was, you first need to understand what a bear actually is. Bears belong to a family called Ursidae. The first true bears appeared around 20 million years ago. They were small, dog-sized. Nothing about them looked like what we think of as a bear today. Over millions of years, the lineage grew. Different branches moved into different environments. Different environments shaped different bodies. The bears most people know today, grizzlies, black bears, polar bears, are built around the same basic blueprint. Heavy body, short legs relative to their mass, wide, flat feet. Built for digging, climbing, swimming, and short, explosive charges. They are powerful animals, but they are not built for speed over distance. A grizzly bear can run about 35 miles per hour in a short burst, but it cannot sustain that. It overheats, it tires. Its body was not designed for long chases. Arctodus Simus took a completely different path. Around 1.8 million years ago, Arctodus appeared in North America. From the very beginning, it was building towards something no other bear lineage attempted. Instead of getting heavier and wider, the way most large bears do, Arctodus got taller. Its legs grew longer in proportion to its body than any bear before or since. Its limb bones were slender for an animal of its size. Its feet were narrower. Its stride was longer. Scientists looking at its skeleton recognized something immediately. This was not a bear built to dig or climb or swim. This was a bear built to cover ground quickly and efficiently across open terrain. It was built the way a hyena is built, or a wolf. Long legs that eat up distance without burning excessive energy. A body designed for moving across large territories fast. And it did this at a size that nothing else on the continent could match. Part 2. How big it actually was. Numbers help here because the visual is hard to construct without them. A large male grizzly bear today weighs around 700 pounds. A very large one might reach 800. That is considered enormous by modern standards. Arctodus Simus weighed between 2,000 and 3,500 pounds, depending on the individual. The largest specimens were more than 4 times heavier than the biggest grizzly alive today. Standing on all 4 legs, Arctodus was already taller than most humans at the shoulder. On its hind legs, it reached 11 feet. That is taller than a large male African elephant standing at the shoulder. But here is the part that separates Arctodus from every other giant animal of its era. It was not just big, it was big and fast simultaneously. Scientists studying its leg proportions and stride mechanics estimate it could sustain speeds approaching 40 miles per hour across open ground. Not in a short burst, across distance. A modern lion runs at around 50 miles per hour, but only for short distances before it overheats and slows. At sustained pace over open ground, Arctodus would have kept up with almost anything on the North American landscape. And it outweighed the lion by over 2,000 pounds. There was no realistic scenario in which a lion, a Smilodon, a pack of direwolves, or any other predator of the Ice Age chose to fight a fully grown short-faced bear for any reason. The math did not work in anyone's favor except the bears. Part 3. The skull and what it tells us. The name short-faced bear comes from the shape of the skull. Most bears have long snouts. Arctodus had a shortened, flattened face. The first time you see the skull, it looks almost wrong, like something compressed the front of a normal bear skull from both sides. That compression was not a flaw, it was engineering. When a jaw closes, the force it generates is concentrated at the point of bite. A longer snout spreads that force across a larger surface. A shorter snout focuses it into a smaller area. The same muscle mass produces more pressure per square inch when the snout is shorter, and the jaw mechanics are optimized around that design. Arctodus had a bite force that scientists estimate exceeded that of any bear alive today. Combined with its size, it could process bones, crack skulls, and access parts of a carcass that other predators could not reach. It was the final processor of every kill it approached. After the Smilodon finished and left, after the direwolves cleaned what remained, after the condors picked the bones, Arctodus could still find nutrition in what was left. Nothing on the continent wasted less. Part 4. The Intimidation Strategy. Here is the part that changes how you think about this animal entirely. For a long time, scientists assumed Arctodus was a hypercarnivore, a pure predator, an active hunter that used its speed and size to chase down prey directly. That assumption felt logical. The largest, fastest land predator on the continent must have hunted, right? The fossil and isotope evidence complicated that picture. Analysis of Arctodus bones shows a diet that included significant plant material alongside meat, not the diet of a pure predator. The diet of an opportunist, an animal that ate whatever was most available and most accessible at any given moment. What was most available and most accessible on the North American Ice Age landscape was other predators' kills. The strategy worked like this. Arctodus covered enormous territory. Estimates suggest individual bears may have ranged across areas of several hundred square miles. Across that range, they watched. They tracked vultures circling in the sky. Vultures mean a kill. A kill means food. And food means Arctodus did not have to spend energy hunting. When it located a kill, it moved toward it, fast, efficiently, covering ground in that long, economic stride. By the time it arrived, whatever had made the kill was still there, feeding. Then the short-faced bear simply appeared on the horizon. No predator on the continent waited to find out what would happen next. The Smilodon left. The direwolves left. The American lion left. Everything left. Not because Arctodus attacked, but because the calculation every predator made when it saw that shape coming across the open ground was the same. There is no version of this that ends well for us. Leave. Arctodus walked up to the kill, ate everything it wanted, left what it did not need, and moved on. This strategy required almost no energy expenditure beyond movement, no risk of injury from fighting prey, no energy burned in a chase, just presence, just the overwhelming physical fact of what Arctodus was. For over 1 million years, that was enough. Part 5. What ended it? Around 11,000 years ago, Arctodus disappeared. The timing is not random. It lines up with two things happening simultaneously on the North American continent. The first was the end of the Ice Age. The climate was warming. The great grasslands that supported the megafauna were changing. Horses, camels, mastodons, and giant ground sloths were declining. The prey base that other predators hunted and that Arctodus relied on those predators to produce was shrinking. For most predators, a shrinking prey base means adapting, switching targets, finding smaller animals, changing strategy. But Arctodus had a problem that its size made unavoidable. A bear that weighs up to 3,500 pounds needs an enormous amount of food every single day just to maintain basic function. When megafauna kills became rarer, the gap between what Arctodus needed and what the landscape could provide started growing. The second thing happening at exactly the same time was humans. The first people arrived in North America at almost exactly the moment Arctodus began disappearing from the fossil record. Early human hunters were targeting the same megafauna: mammoths, giant ground sloths, horses, the animals that produced the large kills Arctodus depended on. As human hunting pressure reduced megafauna populations, the kills that had sustained Arctodus for 1,000,000 years became harder and harder to find. Arctodus could not hunt humans, not because it was not capable of killing them, because humans did not behave like prey. They used fire, they used tools, they moved in coordinated groups. They were not something a solitary intimidation strategy worked against. The bear that had never needed to fight for anything suddenly found itself in a world where its strategy produced nothing. The grasslands were changing, the megafauna were disappearing, the kills were gone, and the body that had made Arctodus unstoppable for over 1,000,000 years now needed more food than the landscape could provide. It had no plan B, no alternative strategy, no flexibility built into a system that had never once needed to be flexible. The last short-faced bear died somewhere in North America around 10,000 years ago. Not because something beat it, because the world it was built for stopped existing. And it was so perfectly designed for that world that it had never learned how to be anything else. What it actually was. The short-faced bear was not a predator. It was a presence, a force of nature so large and so fast that the entire North American ecosystem organized itself around the fact of its existence. Every predator hunted differently because Arctodus existed. Every kill was made with the knowledge that something might appear on the horizon. Every animal on the continent lived inside the shadow of a bear that mostly did not bother to hunt. That is a rarer kind of power than claws or venom or pack intelligence. It is the power of being so undeniably real that the world changes its behavior before you even arrive. If watching apex predators dominate everything around them is what keeps you watching, our last video delivers exactly that. Watch baboons tear a spotted hyena to shreds next, one of Africa's most powerful predators, completely dismantled by animals that had no business winning. No size advantage, no venom, just coordination. And it was over in 4 minutes.